best podcast, the Idlecast.
In the great hall of the Justice League, there are assembled the world's greatest heroes, created from the cosmic legends of the universe.
Scott McDermott, Harrison Perkins,
And
Scott Clark.
their mission to fight injustice, to right that which is wrong, and to serve all mankind.
We'll do it live. No. We'll do it live.
It's real simple. You got 2 more quarters and that's it. Now, most of you have been playing this game for 10 years. And you got 2 more quarters. And after that, most of you will never play this game again as long as you live. Now, you all have known me for a while, and for a long time now, you've been hearing me talk about being perfect. Well, I want you to understand something. To me, being perfect is not about that scoreboard out there. It's not about winning. It's about you and your relationship to yourself and your family and your friends. Being perfect is about being able to look your friends in the eye and know that you didn't let them down because you told them the truth. And that truth is that you did everything that you could. There wasn't one more thing that you could have done. Can you live in that moment as best you can with clear eyes and love in your heart?
Good morning, men. Do you have love in your heart, clear eyes, and are you ready to live in the moment?
I'm ready for the next 2 quarters, the last 2 quarters of my life.
I'm trusting this to put a little love in my heart.
Okay.
Weren't we
Yeah.
talking about Al Green last time?
Yeah, maybe we should. We should talk about Al Green every week. If we didn't have such goofy rules relative to the recording industry, which has lost its mind, is going after archive.org and telling them they have to remove all the historic 78 recordings, 78 RPM recordings that are such a threat to the recording industry. They have to remove those from the archive.org collection. Anyway.
Well, I could sing the Al Green song, and it would be so far off the melody that we would have to worry about nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, it's terrible. I would like to play music on the podcast, but you can't. We can stream if we pay a substantial fee, but if you want to actually do it on a podcast so that it's recorded, then you have to pay like $10,000 a song or something crazy like that. It's just nuts.
When the coin in the coffer clinks.
Yeah, exactly.
You want to hear that
Soul
music?
from Purgatory Springs.
Yeah, that would be, yeah. So I have this idea that sometime in the future we may do a streaming show, maybe a week.
Do it live?
Yeah, live. Yeah, it would have to be live.
We'll do it live. No. We'll do it live.
I would have to be very careful.
Yes, we'll do it live. And that fee is much more manageable. So,
Oh, right.
and there are agencies that you pay and then they take care of everybody.
Live video, right? That's what you were saying last week you wanted.
Yeah. I don't know about the video part, but
So that they
anyway.
can see us on YouTube, the best
Yeah.
place. All
Yeah,
of our
exactly.
favorites, where
yeah.
everybody should find their media content.
Trying to get my blood pressure up, yeah. We are there at Heidelcast on YouTube and wherever podcasts are found. We're on Spotify. They haven't kicked us off. Spotify is on a rant now, and they're going through, particularly they're punishing the radio stations and kicking their podcasts off because radio stations pay a fee, a licensing fee to BMI and ASCAP and the other groups to be able to play music on the air. It's like $10,000 a year. And that money gets all, distributed to the various recording companies, and then they allegedly distribute it to the artists. Anyway, the Spotify is on a tear, and they're just kicking especially radio station podcasts, but others, any major podcast is being kicked off of Spotify or being threatened by Spotify. Go through and get rid of the music on all your, any music that's not specifically created for your podcast.
It's weird because you said all the major podcasts are getting kicked off, but First Presbyterian and Bad Axe is still on there.
Yeah, well, they just haven't found you yet.
So often we miss the most obvious thing, don't we?
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think we get at least 3 views per week.
So,
It's
Yeah.
it's
Three
like
listens, sorry, downloads.
it's like when Superman, puts on glasses. It ought to be obvious. It's the biggest
Yeah,
thing
exactly.
right there.
as long as you're wearing, apparently, if you're wearing a suit and glasses, it's impossible to tell that you're Superman.
In some ways, I think it's just the glasses. Because think about all the movies where, like, the dorky girl takes off her glasses and all of a sudden,
Yeah.
bam, she's
She's
beautiful.
transformed. Yes. Yeah.
It's all in the glasses.
Yeah. Yeah. I suppose.
That's why I don't wear them while we're recording.
So that we don't think you're a dork, or what? What is?
I don't know.
Because he wants to be the beautiful
That's
girl.
right. I'm trying to be the beautiful girl at the dance.
I don't know. That's
Turns out she was beautiful all the time.
okay.
The real reason is because they get mushed behind my headphones. But
Oh. Okay.
So you can't see us right
no,
now.
I can't. I mean, it's not that bad. I don't have great eyesight, but it still works.
I'm at the stage of life where I can wander around the house now without my glasses, and I can see most of what I need to see. So it's funny because I'm myopic, and so as you age, you sort of start going the other direction in a way.
Oh, interesting.
Anyway,
Mine's just far away. It's stuff that's really far that starts to get blurry. So
yeah.
I just looked it up. So for the listener, myopic means nearsighted.
Yeah. Thank you. Scott is our in-house Google Translate. So
Well, I don't know half the words you guys use, so I've got Google handy.
yeah, you are the listener's ombudsman. So we
Not at all what I thought it meant.
we appreciate that.
So how are you guys
You
doing?
used it in
What's
the proper
up?
context, but it's, what's up?
Yeah, what's up?
So many things. Today I woke up
Well, that's
and I
good.
thought it was tomorrow. No, I thought it was tomorrow when I woke up, and I thought I was an hour late for an appointment.
Oh,
so
no.
I was glad to find out. But since then, I've been off. My brain just it's not firing on all cylinder.
Good news, it's today, and you're right on time to record with us.
Yeah,
That's right.
you didn't actually miss anything.
No, I didn't.
So
Nope.
yeah,
I may yet miss tomorrow's appointment, but not because of what happened today.
yesterday I thought it was today.
Isn't that weird?
Anyway, so I am doing fine. I'm doing well. My back feels great. I don't have any pain. So I went for a vigorous walk the other day and then regretted that for a little bit. It wasn't too bad. So, and I haven't walked for several days and I feel great.
There you go.
So doing my exercises and all of that stuff, sitting down correctly, standing up. So turns out there's an art to sitting down and standing up. It has to be done just so. Well, sort of, not exactly like that. No, I'd get in trouble if I did it that way.
See, if we were on YouTube, everybody could have seen that beautiful performance.
Yes, exactly.
We should not be on YouTube.
Yeah. Who knew that Harrison has taken ballet lessons? I recognize that from when the children were taking ballet lessons.
The seated
many years
duck. That's what that move is called.
Yikes.
Really?
Maybe I don't know. I have no idea.
See, that's how gullible I am. I thought, okay, that could be a thing. I mean, you said that with such authority. That must be exactly what's going on.
FBI, huh?
No, I be Curly.
Sabotucci's, Column 5's, spies.
Oh, stop that double talk. I want to hit a Lone Ranger.
Certainly. Is everybody dumb or a victim of circumstance? Truth is stranger than fiction. He's talking pig Latin. I don't know what he's saying.
There you go.
I think most of the ballet terms are French, which
Okay,
of the
yeah.
French I know, that isn't the French that I know.
Yeah, the French for that would be kind of funny. Plie.
Or Russian.
The only one that I know is plie, and I don't even know what it is, but I know that's a ballet term.
A pirouette, I think.
Oh.
Pirouette.
Oh, that's
However
right,
you-
pirouette. Yeah, okay, very good.
There you
There you go.
We're going to put up a glossary together for people just right here between us.
Yeah, exactly. So how are you, Harrison?
I'm coming down from a polity high. We had a 2-day presbytery extravaganza over the
Polity
weekend.
high.
So
Okay.
that was great.
You had presbytery on Saturday and Sunday or Friday and Saturday?
Friday and Saturday.
Okay.
Actually, it was very busy because so I'm on our candidates and credentials committee and have been taking a bigger role in that. And so actually the report was left to me to present, and a fair chunk of both days actually was given over to credentials stuff, but there were some encouraging exams. And so excited to see a few men passing their exams for the first time, others being received into the OPC, and that will be good to have them. Yeah, but it was busy, certainly. On the way coming back, awful. Just on the interstate, full stop traffic gridlock because there was a 7-car pileup. Sat in the same spot for 45 minutes.
Ah, the number of completeness.
There you go. Yeah. I mean, it was not far in front of us. And so I was grateful to the Lord that the elder and I, who were both driving separately, neither of us were in it. Terrifying moment. I don't know if I should admit this on recording, but
do it.
Yeah, there was hundreds of us who did it, but we were not far ahead of one of those little turnarounds in the median, and we turned around and drove down the shoulder the wrong way on the interstate and turned around. It was terrifying.
You should not have admitted that.
I don't think that's bad. I mean, I've had to do that before.
That's against the law.
Is that? Well, I didn't know. And then I was thinking,
civil law.
It'll be okay if, there were so many emergency vehicles coming. I was like, it'll be okay if none of the cops come while I'm in the line to do this. And of course, one did. He seemed to have bigger things to worry about than this line of cars.
He's not worried about you getting out of the way. So, yeah. I don't think it's an issue. It's true. Ordinarily, you shouldn't do that, but there probably are some circumstances where it's okay. I had to do that driving through Wyoming last February, driving back to see my mom as she was just about to leave this earth, and there was a large fire. So I could see there was an access road, next to the interstate. So went around, found an exit, got on the access road, went back east, and then drove right into the fire.
Right.
So not quite. I could see it. And I thought, it's about 15 flames were about 15 feet high, and they were right next to the highway. So I thought, well, if I had to, I could do it, but I'm not going to. It's not worth it. So
I consoled myself that I was probably helping them by getting out of the way.
Yeah, I think that's all right. I don't, yeah. I mean, yeah, there are always exceptions to the rules, I think, generally. So
I have a question about Presbytery.
Yeah.
Why are they always on Fridays and Saturdays?
Well, they're not always.
I think Saturday.
Why are they always for us on Fridays and Saturdays? Why can't they be on like a Tuesday?
Because ruling elders usually work, and then they don't have to take off.
Well, so do teaching elders.
That's interesting. Our classes meetings are almost, at least classes Southwest U.S. is almost always on Tuesday and Wednesday.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
Yeah, always.
See, our presbytery is the stated meetings. 2 of the 3 are on Saturday, and the January one is on a Friday. And I believe that is because it snows a lot in Michigan in January. And they're like, we assume that you very well could get stuck where you're going and want to give you the extra day to get back to preach.
Oh, yeah.
I will be driving to Indiana 6 hours on Friday for a 2-day. It just doesn't make sense. So like by the time it gets done on Saturday and I get home, it'll be like 8 o'clock.
Oh, my.
9 o'clock.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah.
And that's for the ruling elders.
Does Indiana want you, Scott?
Does Indiana want me?
Yeah, that's a reference to an old pop song. I can't sing it because I don't want to get kicked off of Spotify.
I think the presbytery wants me to go since I was providentially hindered from the last couple. So
I think Indiana had issued a warrant for this guy. That was the premise of the song. Indiana wants me. You can look it up on YouTube, and you'll sing it all the way down during your 6-hour drive to Indiana.
Oh, boy.
Which part of Indiana?
South Bend area, I think.
Oh. Isn't that where Notre Dame is?
That is. That's the home of Our Lady of the Golden Dome.
Speak for yourself.
There's some nice, at least there used to be some nice bookstores in South Bend.
Maybe I'll leave on Thursday and go to the bookstore.
Yeah, well, check and see that they still exist. A lot of them have gone out of business, tragically. I used to know where all the good bookstores are, and now I don't because mostly they don't exist.
That's a big presbytery. What regions does the Great Lakes Presbytery comprise?
Michigan and South Bend.
It's the satellite.
Okay. So South Bend is the tail. of the Presbytery.
Well, we have our friend Tony Garbarino who's in Valparaiso, so also Valparaiso.
Oh, yeah. Tony Garbarino.
Ah, Tony.
Yeah, I know Tony. Good man.
Indeed.
Oh, very good.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Super Friends.
All right. Are you fellas ready to open up the coffer?
Let's do it.
I'm going to reach over there. Hang on. Got it in my hand here. All right. Ah, thank you.
You got some letters.
All right. This first one, I can't say his name. It's from Brazil.
Zhao.
Yes.
Zhao.
That could be close. Yeah, thank you. He actually sent a recording of himself saying his name, and I looked and looked and looked, and I couldn't find it. The internets will pronounce it for me if I go to someplace and say, tell me how to pronounce that. But I think you're pretty close.
We had lots of Brazilians in the congregation in London.
Portuguese for Joe?
I don't know, maybe.
Or John.
I think
maybe.
John.
Yeah, that's what I think.
So they don't have N's in Portuguese.
One of my children used to say porkagees, and I always have to be very careful because that's what in our house we say porkagees. And
here in the thumb we say pork and cheese.
I was just going to say pork and cheese. I'm like, that's a Midwestern thing too.
Is that a thing? I've never heard of that.
Pork and cheese?
Yeah.
I mean,
you got to have a pork chop and some fried cheese.
A lot of people will make a sandwich and they use a material called ham. And it is often paired with cheese.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, that's fine. But when you say pork, I think of like pork chops.
Pork chops.
Who puts cheese on pork chops? Okay, ham and cheese, yes.
Them's do it.
But is this a thing, like pork chops and cheese or something? That's what I was thinking. Or
if you go to any tavern in the thumb,
yes,
there are pork chops, and everyone loves their fried cheese. So we just invented pork and cheese.
So if you go to a tavern, so these are also restaurants.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know if I'd call it a restaurant.
Yes, God.
Yeah. They serve food.
All right.
Culinary items.
Culinary items.
Yes.
So not
substances called ham.
Not just peanuts and stuff at the bar. I mean, actual food.
Right.
No,
yeah.
it's not Five Guys.
Gastropubs.
Oh, all right. Okay. So he says, hello, Dr. Clark, and all the HRA staff. I guess that would include you guys. I hope you're doing well. Well, I think we are.
Hello, Zhao.
I don't know if you have an article or a podcast answering this type of question. I didn't find anything searching the Heidelblog. I just want to say thank you for searching the Heidelblog before you wrote. I appreciate that very much. It's amazing how often I send links to people. So it's just fine. But my hope was that people could find these things by searching. So I appreciate it when people do. I have thought about this a little while. Something I read in a book about humanity and society from an evangelical, in the broad sense, pastor. What made me ask this is because I have seen some people in my church asking for prayers from the brothers and sisters for their pets. It's usually a prayer regarding the health of the pet or about the owner so they can handle their loss, for example. Some people have serious depression problems and pets help them a lot in recovering or even as continuous support to be healthier, etc. Support animals. I acknowledge that, but this kind of petition seems a little strange to me. What do you think about it? So I thought this was an interesting question. It's something that's come up before. People have asked me, Pastor, what do you think? Will there be dogs in heaven? And this is sort of in that realm, I guess.
That's what I thought it was going to be when I was reading through it. I was excited because I almost have like a packaged answer for that one at this point. But
oh, really? Well, let's hear it.
Well, maybe not heaven.
There may well be dogs in the new creation, but that doesn't mean that your dog will be there.
Yeah. And will you be that interested in the new heavens and the new earth in the dog that you had when you were here? Probably not. If you read the Revelation, it seems to be people are pretty fascinated with the Lord.
Is he going to be glorified, my dog?
I doubt it.
Okay.
I'm not dogmatic on that, but I doubt it.
Dog.
This guy.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Yeah.
That's
Truth is stranger than fiction.
dogmatic.
It's a subtle one. But if you caught it, you'll like it.
Oh, that was so funny. It almost made me catatonic.
Whoa.
I'm a victim of circumstance. Is everybody dumb?
So I actually am of mixed opinion about this. I don't see why it's wrong to ask the Lord for mercy for your creature that's in your house. I mean, that doesn't seem, or if someone is distressed about their animal. When we lost our second Scotty dog, we had a Scotty, years ago, and then we got another one. And when we came back from the UK, when we after we settled here, and then he was diagnosed with cancer and died relatively early. Well, that was very sad. And he was the one that the kids grew up with. Actually, we were quite distressed about all of that. It was a hard experience, and we didn't get another dog for about 5 years. We became the people who pet other people's dogs. That's because we walk in the neighborhood, and so we made friends with dogs all over the neighborhood. There are a few dogs that we can't really, that don't want to be friendly, and they can't. But we were able, if you just sit quietly, eventually, usually most dogs will figure out that you're not trying to hurt them. And anyway, in fact, one of our neighbor dogs now has been cut off from us because the neighbor put up a big wooden fence, and now we can't even see the doggie, let alone pet her. She's a sweetheart. She's not a German Shepherd. What's the other one that they use for canines, for police canines? No. Well, no, not that.
Belgian.
Belgian Malinois. Beautiful female Belgian. And so anyway, she was our buddy. So we asked the Lord for mercy, and we grieved over that for a long time. People might think that's silly, but that's what happened.
Well, that is a slightly different
Well, that was one of the things
than what he's asking. It's because if I've understood correctly, I don't think he's focused on, can I pray for my pet? It seems like the issue in front of him is that people are asking for public prayer over the health of their pet. And so, concerning what you're talking about, I think, well, if something's on your heart, why would you not take it to the Lord? And, sometimes we can carry things very heavily. Sometimes we can carry things more heavily than we ought. I think the Lord still wants to hear from us. But when it comes to, is the pastoral prayer in public worship, is that geared for, fluffy?
Well, that's a whole larger question too. What should be included in the great prayer or the pastoral prayer during worship? So I guess I was imagining an informal prayer group, like a Wednesday morning prayer. Is this something you could bring to your friends? But I would be reluctant to. In fact, maybe this sounds radical, but if you look at our older forms of prayer, those things are typically handled as a group, right? In other words, there's a phrase that says, "Lord, bless the, those in the congregation who are suffering with ill health or this or that, whatever the issues are."
So when it's general, it can include, the grief over a loss of a pet.
Oh, I think so. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, because that grief is real. I mean, that bond that we form with pets is real. I mean, and we, it's interesting. Our relationship to animals is complicated. My grandpa was a cattle farmer, and livestock were, they were kept outside. Occasionally a calf would be on the mud porch, but the dog even, I don't think the dog was not let into the house any farther than the mud porch. Whereas in our house, the dog is on the bed, which for my grandparents would have been unthinkable. So we have this bond with our pets that I think changes our relationship to them. I try to distinguish between pets and food. So some animals are food and some animals are pets.
What about work animals? Where do they?
Well, that's interesting. You know, I have a friend who is reliant on a service animal, and I think the line between those two roles is very fuzzy.
Well, I guess I was actually thinking about like horses or
cattle dogs, something
oxen.
like that. Those would be your coworkers.
I'm actually willing to go like past because I get dogs are complicated. Like we come to like our dogs even if they have a task, a devoted task. But things like a horse, that's not food, but it can pull things.
Not ordinarily. It's a bad day if your transportation is now food. You're in a lot of trouble.
Yep.
Yes, so the Amish do pray for their horses, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah, that I don't know,
Since
but
it's their transportation.
Yeah,
just like we pray for our car if it was.
Any Amish who are listening right now, let us know.
Don't, because then you're on the hook. You've used
how often you pray for your horses.
Unless it's Rumspringer, then maybe someone on Rumspringer could be listening to the Heidelcast.
That's one of my favorite words that I've learned in the thumb.
Oh, very good.
Right up there with Perfektenschlag.
That's an Office reference.
Oh, see, you guys are going to make me watch this so I can get these references.
You should. No, you should.
You really should. If it helps, skip season 1. Just get right into season 2.
Yeah. Okay, so this is interesting relative to working animals because, I have Instagram. And don't ask to follow me or anything on Instagram. I don't follow people other than animal accounts, and I don't do anything on it. I don't post anything.
That sounds like my wife.
People always ask to follow me. Why? I don't do anything. There's nothing to see. All I do is follow animal accounts and a few others.
It was hard to tell if that reaction was for the listener or for the two of us. So I'm just not going to ask. I don't have one. So actually it doesn't matter. You don't have to tell me.
Anyway, so because people ask to follow me on Instagram, and why? It says there's nothing to see here. So I don't post anything.
Yeah, but every time something says nothing to see here, what do you think is actually going on?
Nothing.
That's where the best stuff is. Don't look behind that curtain. Ignore the man there. The government doesn't have any secrets.
Yeah, exactly.
Accounts.
Anyway,
the trouble with those accounts
that
have all the animals on them,
yes,
is when you follow one and then one dies.
Well,
and then
that's
you get
true.
Sad.
No,
and then you have to ask your church for prayer.
Well, I mean, that's true. It is true. It's very sad. That has happened. I've gotten almost, virtually attached to this animal, and then the animal dies, and it's very sad. And one account I just had to unfollow. I just couldn't take it. They were posting pictures of their late pet, and it was too sad. So
there was a girl. Yeah, she had this really nice bunny, and it was. I mean, always did funny things, and yet, it got really sick, and it was tough.
Oh yeah,
it wasn't even
rabbits.
Sorry.
So the reason I bring
rabbits,
rabbit.
Oh,
one of the reasons I bring up Instagram is because there are videos of these people who are snuggling with their horses, right? The horse is obviously a pet, and maybe the horse works as well too. I don't know, but and I have seen people, who trained and worked with horses be able to get a horse to lie down. But until Instagram, I'd never seen a horse put his head or her head in someone's lap. But on Instagram, this happens regularly, and I've seen this with pigs and chickens, cattle. My experience with cattle is very different. my last encounter with a steer was him trying
alligators
to break my ankles. So, well, I'm following a guy now who has a coyote that he has tamed.
That sounds smart.
And the coyote, and a bobcat. There's a guy who has tamed a bobcat. Takes him out for walks on a leash. So anyway, Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, so when I was in the UK, there was a guy writing a dissertation on animal theology. And at the time, I thought this is kind of wacky. And I was only interested in 16th century stuff. So I
think there were animals
receptive.
in the 16th century.
Well, there were, but I wasn't researching them and trying to figure them out.
Sorry, I'm just being difficult.
No, that's okay. I mean, you make a point. I should have been more open-minded to what this guy was doing, and maybe I would have learned something.
Now it's too late. Now he feels bad.
Yeah, I regret not taking the opportunity to talk to this guy about what he was doing, and
his life's work, and you didn't even acknowledge it.
Well, yeah, I was kind of I wasn't rude about it, but inwardly I was very close-minded, and I regret that, not taking the opportunity to learn a little more. Now I'd have to find the book that he published and read it, but which I haven't done. Anyway, so what do we think? If you can pray in a small group or privately, yeah, that's fine. But I mean, I guess I have a general question about lists of, and maybe in the evening service it's okay, but I think in the morning service, if it were up to me, I would just follow the old forms of prayer and mention those things sort of in a general way, but not do a list of maladies and concerns, although it's sort of expected.
That's the thing is, if you don't, there's going to be kickback.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. But maybe you could do it in the evening service, which has yes. Well, I mean, that's right. It probably isn't too not strong enough. You will get pushback.
I'm speaking from experience.
No, I know. I too. No, I know for a fact. Yeah, why didn't you pray for so and so? And and I think it's but maybe for prayer group or maybe in the evening service, but maybe in the morning service not. But
so I think what we're saying is that there are kind of tiers of TIER to be clear.
Yes. And also TEARS.
Yeah. Well, it dawned on me as I was articulating.
Yeah, dogs are at the top tier, and alligators are at the bottom tier.
Goldfish somewhere in the middle.
Goldfish don't even exist. That's
I think I have seen a pet alligator on Instagram, by the way.
Yeah, they go for walks, right? Put them on a leash.
Of course, alligators walk. Like, why wouldn't?
Yeah, but on a leash.
Oh, right.
Yeah, as a pet.
So
tell us about the tiers.
To reformulate, it seems that we are saying that there are levels of appropriateness about where and how we might pray for these things. Sort of close group of people. If this is something heavy on your heart, share it. If we're expecting this to be a broadcast prayer request, there might be more pressing matters for the whole of the congregation than Mr. Pickles the gerbil. But it's a wisdom call.
But a pastor could certainly meet with someone and pray for them, or you could pray for it in small group.
And you know what? Honestly, if the biggest thing sitting on the list to pray for is somebody's pet, I say do it and praise God.
Yeah.
We pray for this animal, but how blessed we are that the worst thing that we have to consider this week is this pet.
Yeah. Well, and we don't want people to think that the Lord is unconcerned about small things.
Unless it's a cat.
That's not true.
Daryl, listen up. Cats, they're the worst.
I disavow that. I do not associate myself with that at all.
That's fine.
So
I'm Switzerland.
I raised 2 cats, and my offspring, I think one for sure, I know has cats, and then I don't know about the other has had, but I don't think has now.
I had a bad experience. I mean, my grandmother had a cat, and it was the worst cat. And I felt bad because they called me to tell me that they had to put this cat to sleep, and I celebrated. It was just the worst cat.
I got bit by a dog in probably 1972 or 3. That didn't make me hate dogs. That dog was a jerk. I didn't judge all dogs after that. Although I will say it helped owning a dog. That changed my attitude towards dogs a lot.
You're a better person than I am.
I didn't understand dogs.
I judge all cats based on the one cat.
Some cats are just jerks, or they've had bad experiences or whatever. But I think some cats are jerks, and some dogs are just jerks. So
to wrap it up,
yeah,
pastorally, I would say I'm happy to pray for you if you're grieving over the loss of your pet, but don't bring me prayer requests to make sure your dog's foot is going to be okay, that type of thing. But when people are grieving, that I think is an important thing to be praying for, because we know how devastating it can be when you lose your pet dog or rabbit or tarantula.
You know, I would like to get to know a tarantula. That would be interesting.
What is happening right now? We have
because I mean,
we
yes,
almost had this on the ground, and then we have just spiraled out of control right there. All credibility just went out the window.
They're big and scary looking, but I don't think they're harmful or dangerous at all.
Can't they bite you?
Yeah, but why would they?
Because it's evil. It has to be.
No.
Look at the thing. All right.
So you're just a bigot. If something's big and furry, it's automatically bad and evil.
Well, the 8 legs and
this
fangs.
is the longest we've spent on any question ever. This is going to end up being the entire show. Why don't we just talk about every animal there is and see whether or not they're worthy of prayer?
Okay, I wasn't proposing to pray for a tarantula. I just thought.
Nope, that's what you said.
I just think it would be interesting to. I've never known, because we have them on campus.
What?
You have tarantulas on
Yes,
campus? Yeah,
yeah,
in Escondido.
yeah.
I can imagine that.
I've never seen one, but when I was a student, you know where room 2 is, right? The seminar
Yes,
room.
I was just
room
there.
1, right?
Okay, well, he's not there now, Harrison, and he hasn't been there for 40
But what
years.
if he was there when I was in it?
No,
Harrison, there's a chance that when you came to Hamul for lunch at my house, there was probably a tarantula right under your feet.
Oh, my gosh.
So there was a tarantula right over room 2. And for years, when I walked into room 2, I always looked to make sure he wasn't there. But, and we've had.
They can climb. They can climb walls. It's
absolutely.
Incredible.
That's how we
There's
got.
nothing more startling than just not expecting a tarantula and being face to face with a tarantula.
Oh my gosh,
It's very startling.
every muscle in my body is clenching right now. Oh my goodness. And I'm like, I need to take my headphones off in case there's scurrying going on in this room. Like,
Are you arachnophobic?
probably, yeah. I
seems
just
like
call
you
that
might be.
sane though.
Did you have a bad experience? We have lots of spiders here. I mean, as long as you leave them alone, generally they'll leave you alone. You have to be careful with the black widows. We have brown recluses and black widows.
Well, that's the thing. Everywhere I've lived, except when I was in Britain, I mean, I assume spiders can kill me. That's the black widows, brown recluses. There's another one. It's got the fiddle on it. Or is that a brown recluse?
No, that's the black widow.
No, they've got the little red hourglass, but there's one that has a white fiddle on it. Anyway, everywhere I've lived, there's
that's probably brown
a
recluse.
spider that can kill you, and I've seen them, and I don't like it at all.
I mean, with brown recluses, it's easy. Just don't stick
Stay
your
away
hand.
from the wood pile.
That's right. Don't stick your hand into dark places without a glove, because you never know. And here, the black widows, they like to hang around on the water meter and your big trash bins. So you just have to be a little careful.
There was
I
one
was
on
bit
our
by a
porch
black widow
at the
in Hamul
apartment.
Hold on.
in my sleep.
Wait, say this again. What?
I was bit by a black widow
Really?
in Hamul in my sleep.
Really? What happened?
He decided he liked my inner thigh, and he went right for it.
Yikes.
And I went to the doctor, and I was like, everything on internet says this is a black widow. What do you think? And they're like, they looked it up on Google. Like,
Did
they're
they
like, yeah,
really?
that's a black widow. So I still have a scar. It was like 10 years ago.
They looked it up on Google?
Yeah, because they were not spider experts at Kaiser Permanente.
Oh, interesting.
So black widows are the only ones that leave like a double fang mark, is what I'm told.
So what was the outcome? I mean,
The outcome was I lived.
no treatment or anything?
They gave me some cream, and I'm like, I'm not rubbing cream on my inner thigh. Get out of here.
I'd rather
So I just-
die.
I fought through it. I have a scar.
I thought that made you at least super sick.
Nope.
Oh, interesting.
Nope. It itched. It itched a lot. It was painful at first, and it itched. But I have more of a problem with pincher bugs. I'm allergic to those.
I don't know if this is accurate because
What?
I'm sticking with the story.
Pincher bugs. Pincher bugs. I'm allergic to. I get like my eyes get puffy. It's hard to breathe.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah, and barely anybody's allergic to those,
So
but I am.
I want to go back to tarantulas. So you've actually had face-to-face encounters with tarantulas in
Oh, yeah.
in Hamburg?
I remember one time I woke up and I start sitting up in my bed and I look over. I put my feet down on the ground.
Yes.
And I look over and there's a tarantula just sitting there staring at me. And he's like, hey, dude. I'm like,
See, this is why it's good
can't
that
be in my
we
room.
have the right to own guns in America. Big ones. Fully automatic shotguns. That's what we need for this kind of situation.
Harrison, I'll send you a video of me catching a tarantula.
Do not. No, we
and
are.
Scaring my wife.
Our friendship
pretending
will
that it
end. I
escaped.
will cease praying for your pets or you or.
My pets all died.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
Okay. All right. Here we go. We have one more. So
Call or text now. 760-618-1563.
Well, let's read some emails, shall we?
all right. That was interesting. All right. This is from, I'm going to say this is from Anonymous, just to avoid any difficulty. Dr. Clark, thank you for your ministry. I greatly benefit from your podcast. Well, thank you for listening. I am working my way towards ordination after seminary as I serve as a youth director at a PCA church in a rural setting. The church has had youth gatherings on Sunday evenings for almost its entire history. I and another elder would love to have an evening service for the entire church on Sundays that would take the place of the youth gatherings. We anticipate that this move would encounter a lot of pushback from the congregation and potentially from a few on the session. The church used to be more broadly evangelical than Reformed, but it's taken great steps in worship and in polity to be more in line with our confession. Well, that's encouraging. Some longstanding members have had mixed feelings about the Reformation of the church. Well, that's the history of Reformation. You're always going to have people with reservations about Reformation. That's just the way it goes. But can you offer any wisdom on how to move toward a evening worship service in our context? And what would be some of the benefits of evening worship that might be convincing for broadly evangelical members? And do you have a sample liturgy of evening worship that could be readily implemented? So, all right. So this is great. I mean, because this podcast is all about practice.
We talking about practice. Not a game. We talking about practice.
And we're about helping people recover the Reformed confession, which includes theology, piety, and
practice.
What are we talking about?
Practice.
The first thing to say
is
that while you were reading that, a leaf blew across the step right outside the window of my office. And
you thought it was a tarantula.
And I definitely was working on the assumption that it was a spider, sort of, and was practicing my panicking skills. Just throwing that in there to get us going.
Okay. So how would you men take a congregation from point A to point B to moving from a Sunday evening youth group to a Sunday evening worship service? What steps, where would you begin?
I want to hear Harrison's wisdom on this first. He's wise.
Well, this is slightly more complicated than that because if I have understood this correctly, he's not the pastor.
Correct.
He's working towards ordination, and so he's the youth director at a PCA congregation. And so I assume that he's not even on session at this.
Yeah, I think that's correct.
Yeah, so that adds how would I move a congregation that direction? I would probably, start with teaching towards it. Here's why it's true, but also why it's good for us.
Yeah.
And just really laying a lot of groundwork for that. But he's not in the place necessarily to do that.
Let's think about what we would do were we the pastor of this congregation and to lead them towards Reformation. Like, for example, whom would you teach first, the people or the elders?
Same time.
Oh, that's interesting. Why that, Scott?
Because that's what I did, and it worked. And
it worked.
You can put the elders on tilt at the same time, because if you're teaching the people and the elders aren't picking up on the teaching, you can say to the people who are like, but I want the Lord's Supper more frequently, or but I want an evening worship service. How come we don't have one? And then you say, well, I don't know. You can ask your elder. And so you put them on tilt. You put their back against the wall if they're not picking up on what you're teaching. So I'm only speaking from experience, and I'm not as, what's the word? Patient as most people.
Tactful?
Tactful?
Yes. I mean, that's one strategy. I'm not sure. I mean, I'm glad the Lord blessed your Reformation efforts in Bad Axe, Michigan at First Presbyterian Church. That's,
only Presbyterian Church.
Yeah, only. First and only.
I didn't think I had a lot of time, though. I knew that I had to get it going quickly.
Okay.
So I think it's probably case to case. And in a place where you need more tact, perhaps you talk to the elders first and you work with them for some time. You maybe, I don't know, can you think of a book that may have something on an evening service, perhaps? I don't know.
Well, there is an obscure ancient text, dusty tome, the title of which is Recovering the Reformed Confession, that actually has a whole section in it about how to, at least why you should implement an evening service, and a little bit about how to do it. Probably could have spent more time talking about how, but certainly why.
Now, come on, that was published in the present century.
Yeah, it wasn't even in the previous century. That's true. That's true. So it's not that ancient.
Yeah, but the people at that youth group that this guy is writing from, they weren't alive when it was written.
No, that's right. They weren't. And the pages of my copy are starting to, I think they're okay, but maybe they're yellowing. I know the pages in Protestant scholasticism, those pages are actually yellowing. So
you know where you can find a new copy?
A new copy of what?
Of both of those books that you just mentioned.
Where?
I thought you were going to ring the cowbell and say it like at the school bookstore.
No,
that was the setup. Come on.
Okay. I thought, because I don't know where you can get
where?
Protestant.
You can buy books?
Wait, they have copies of my book?
Well, Protestant scholasticism, I don't even know if that's still in print, honestly. So that's why I thought maybe you knew something. The best place to get Recovering the Reformed Confession actually is from the publisher, because it's a little less expensive there than from Amazon. But you can get it at Amazon as an ebook and as an audio book, and as a print book as well. And you can get it in print from P&R Publishing, prpbooks.com. And if you want the link and you don't want to try to remember it and type it out, just go to heidelblog.net/publications, and you can click on the link. I need to read it again. So.
I wish I had gotten a copy, because you signed mine very graciously.
What?
And I did ask. So before you get worked up, but it's all marked up inside too. And
well, that's good. That means you paid attention to it. You actually read it. You didn't just flip pages.
What if we did listeners can give us feedback. What if we worked through this book on the podcast?
Oh, interesting.
I wonder if that would be useful.
That's interesting. We can think about that.
Yeah, because that chapter is really helpful. If you need something shallower, just in terms of accessibility to wade into it, I have a Modern Reformation article on the website, which should be free.
So we could link to that on the Heidelblog too. So
another angle would be the confessional angle. Assuming this is a Napark church, and if it happens to be a Presbyterian church, there are these documents that the elders have said they believe. And it includes an understanding of the Lord's Day, or the Christian Sabbath, as an entire day of worship, and that includes morning and evening. So I think there's another angle that you could take right there.
It sounds like one of the things we're coming to is that a lot of it means you have to know your situation. The how. Scott was able to navigate a situation by kind of putting it out there in a blanket way. In my situation, I could not see that helping. I mean, we have an evening service, so not in regard to this, but if there was change that of any kind that I was hoping to see go very far, it would not serve me, the session, nor the congregation well to jump past the session. I think they're very supportive of good things that they see to be purposeful, and it behooves me to make sure that they are in the loop rather than having backs against the wall. And so you have to really know, in some ways, how do things work on the ground where you are?
Yeah. So we had somebody write to us recently to tell us that they had gone through recovering as a session, I think, and had decided to adopt an evening service.
Praise God.
So that was my thinking, is that you want to try to persuade your elders of the truth of what we confess, and then the utility of what we confess, and then go from there so that your elders are on board and they have a chance to think through, okay, well, what's the difference between a Sunday evening youth group and the due use of ordinary means? Because those are two different things. Sunday evening youth group is good and fun and worthwhile and edifying. I benefited from being in youth groups when I was in high school, but we confess that it's through the preaching of the Holy Gospel, the official proclamation of the Holy Gospel, that people are brought to new life and true faith. That's what we understand the Word of God to teach. And it's through the use of the Holy Sacraments that the promises are confirmed to us and our faith is strengthened. So those are the two priorities of the gathering of the visible institutional church. I'm convinced, for my part, that one of the reasons why we've lost evening services in favor initially of home Bible studies, that was the argument, we're going to have home Bible studies, small groups, and then whether those things continued, I don't know. In some cases, I know that they haven't. And it's just become time to, get ready for Monday and shopping and whatever else. So in order to recover the evening service or to institute it, I think people have to become convinced in their hearts and in their minds that this is ordained by God and that this is something that God has promised to use in a way that he hasn't promised to use the youth group, as valuable as the youth group might be.
So one thing coming out of, his particular circumstances, as, he says some longstanding members have mixed feelings. And, when it comes to evening worship, it's like, well,
tell me more about your feelings.
Well, yeah, essentially it's like, what do you think would be bad about worshiping together? Why does this seem like a bad thing to have this? And that could probably help expose some of the, underlying assumptions that you can then address more easily. Like what would be a negative outcome of God's people gathering around his word together?
Too much grace.
Well, and people will say that they don't have time, they're too busy, which then gets to the Lord's Day. What day is this? What was the first day of the week? What happened on this day? Jesus was raised from the dead. What did he do? He claimed this entire day for himself, for worship and rest and fellowship and works of mercy. So people need to be convinced of that.
But in some ways, that's a little bit of a deflection that I'm trying to get around with this question, because it's like, but the thing itself, what do you think is bad about there being worship?
Oh, they'll say it's fine, I just don't want to be there. So if you have an evening service, you're going to get 50% of your people on average.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
I keep thinking you're saying 15%, and I'm like, we're right on track.
Yeah, 5-0.
And but then that opens the door when you get to the, it's fine, I just don't want to be there. It's like, well, then why do you not want to be there? You're busy. Okay. What makes you think you're too busy for this meeting? What takes precedent over being with God's people? So I think it just opens doors to ask why questions. There's probably some assumptions there that if you just tell someone, they're less likely to listen. But if you can help them see themselves that they have some assumptions about this that are perhaps not on target, then
that are sinful.
That too. That can be. Then that can get you further down the road.
So there are actually probably multiple things that are at work here in this particular situation, and that is that the work of Reformation has begun, but it has a ways to go. So that needs to be addressed, and then the outworking of it. And then you may have, genuine spiritual issues in the congregation that have to be addressed. Where people's hearts are, where their priorities are, where their affections are, all those things. And At a certain point, you go from preaching, that is talking about doctrine in the abstract, to meddling, that is applying it in the concrete in particular situations. This might even lead to pastoral counseling and so forth. And even to the question of, why are we here? Why is this congregation here? What are we? Well, we're a congregation of the Lord Jesus Christ, instituted by Jesus to do what? And however people answer that question will get to what they are doing on Sunday evenings. Right? If they think it's principally an expression of the culture, meaning family, then that leads to one thing, maybe youth group instead of worship. And I want to, for example, and it may be with good motives, I want to make sure that my children are saved and that they meet other young people. Well, those are good things, but what has the Lord said? And what has the Lord instituted to bring your young people to faith? It's the preaching of the Holy Gospel. It isn't youth group. And in that way, we've substituted it in a given case, youth group, for the divinely ordained means by which he's promised to bring his elect to new life and true faith. It's a little bit like challenging the altar call, right? The altar call is a useful way to get people to walk the aisle and pray a prayer, but is it the divinely instituted means by which God has promised to bring his elect to new life and true faith?
And sometimes people just don't know. We dive into these studies and we find things, oh gosh, the Reformed tradition has had a long history of evening service, and this is why they thought it was valuable. And then we can kind of get there ourselves and think, and why isn't everybody else, just signed up? And it's like, well, it took you a bit to get there too.
That's right.
And so rather than assuming people just need to be with us, let's help them.
That's right. Reformation, and I think this is a really important point. Reformation is slow, difficult, sometimes, frequently, almost always. It's almost never easy, and it takes time. I always remind the students that it took Oecolampadius 9 years to begin to reform the Mass in Basel, and he didn't, by some accounts, didn't ever really succeed.
Well, that's, I have started to tell students, and in situations where I'm getting to talk to students a lot, if you want to be in a situation where you presume that everybody around you is reformed, don't go into ministry. If you are interested in helping people deepen, strengthen in being reformed, then great. But pastoring a reformed church is not, just you sit around and everybody shows up and is reformed. We're in the business of discipling people in the truth and deeper into the truth. And so we have to embrace that there is this process here, and it's part of our role to catechize and to teach and to shepherd people to love good things.
Yeah. All right. So our final advice is probably, to address what Scott said in the beginning, you could do also, and you probably should do, public teaching. So start with a session or the elders, the consistory in my case, and then from there instruct the congregation on these things, like the means of grace, like the value of corporate worship, like the value of the Sabbath, the truth of the Sabbath, the Lord's Day, the Christian Lord's Day, the Christian Sabbath, all those things. And slowly over time, try to bring everybody, as many people as you can. You're never going to bring everyone, but as many as you can, try to bring them to sufficient consensus that they're ready and willing to see an evening service instituted, so that you'd want to be organized, you'd want to be deliberate, you'd want to be strategic. And I don't mean any, strategic is kind of a loaded word.
Be prudent.
Well, wisdom, be prudent, think ahead,
And encouraging. Don't be like me. Be encouraging to your people.
Yeah, I think so.
And be courageous. Don't be afraid of what a couple people, I don't like the evening service. Okay, we're still going to do it.
Yeah, well, that's right. I mean, you will get pushback, and there probably will be people who just won't be persuaded, but...
Well, there's yard work to do. I mean, come on.
Yeah. So you do have to show a certain degree of commitment, right? So this isn't the sort of Mark Driscoll saying, get on the bus or get run over, right? That's maybe not the best model for shepherding a congregation. Get on the bus or get run over.
I'm willing to say it's definitely not the best. I'll up the ante above probably.
Thanks for listening. Tune in tomorrow for more from the Heidelcast, brought to you by Heidelberg Reformation Association.org. Don't forget, when the coin in the coffer clinks, the cost of bandwidth shrinks. Copyright Heidelberg Reformation Association. All rights reserved. This is a Heidel Media production.
The best podcast